Hello, everyone. How's your day? I hope you all are doing absolutely fine. Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving into a hilarious and awkward story straight from Reddit's Today, IF Ed Up. Imagine volunteering for what seemed like a simple favor, only for it to spiral into a chaotic 2.5-hour road trip filled with nerves, awkward conversations, and a frantic attempt to impress a 50-year-old Italian widow. Let's break it all down.
Today I F up by volunteering to drive my professor to the airport. So, I'm a political science major at my college, and honestly, it is a lot harder than I expected. I love my major so much and hope to pursue law one day, but this semester in particular has bogged me down. My international relations class is what's really kicking me. The professor loves to favor her students that are in the student club that she is the advisor for and actively dismisses anyone who is not a part of it and not interested in joining, and this reflects in myself and the other students' grade books. English is also not her first language, and although I will say even if she has a thick accent, she does speak English just as well as a natural-born citizen. However, she doesn't always pick up on comprehension, and that has led to so many problems that I can't even begin to explain. Trust me, I've tried complaining about it to no avail. Anyways, I found out that we would be having our final in 2 days when I was prepared for it to be during the actual finals week, and she did not mention it before, and I got really freaked out that I was going to flunk, because even though I know the material, I know she'll grade me poorly because she flat out doesn't like me. Well, here's where I F up. We were having class today, and as I was having a panic attack when my ears perked up, she asked if anyone could take her to the airport this next Tuesday, and if they could, she would pay them $50. I looked around, waiting for someone to offer up, but no one did, and I sort of felt bad because even though she has been downright rude to me, it makes me sad to think this is the first year she is spending without her husband as he died last semester. She was taken aback by my volunteering but gave me her phone number and her address at the end of class, and I told her, extremely confidently, that she didn't need to pay me $50 because it really wasn't that far of a drive for me. She then sort of gave me this weird look and told me that she absolutely had to pay me for the gas, as we would be going through a lot of it. I then said that our airport in our city wasn't that far, and it really wasn't any bother. She then raised her eyebrow and made her signature condescending look before informing that she was going to the ATL airport, which is at best 2.5 hours away from me according to Apple Maps feature, where you can look at the estimated time on a specific date. But I've heard Atlanta traffic is horrible, so it's probably going to be 3 hours. So, I do have a final that Tuesday at 1 p.m. However, I did inform her of this and warned her it could make me late and she might want to find someone else. But also it's a blow-off class and his final is supposedly about 30 minutes to take, and she lives close. Also, I have not factored in whether or not she is traveling internationally, which, judging off her painfully thick Italian accent, she probably is. I haven't heard much from her about any family that lives in the States with her. If so, I assume she needs to be there 3 hours early, and from my best estimates, if I leave at 1:30 and I don't get slammed by traffic, I get her there by 4 when her flight is at 7. I also have been thinking about asking Blow-Off Professor if I can take his exam earlier because of this obligation. We'll see about that. I'm sticking to my guns. My boyfriend and my friends said that this was crazy of me to do, but I absolutely hate flaking on people, especially when she's my mom's age, and even if they're nothing alike. It still makes my heart break thinking about if my mom only had a little dog with her to make her happy and no one to drive her to the airport, and no second income to help pay for an Uber to the airport or another person to come with her on her journey. I have some things I got to do first, which includes cleaning and scrubbing my car out of any weed smell because it's been so cold outside, and unfortunately my car has taken the brunt of my stress from this class. I need to get my oil changed because it's over 1,000 miles over when my car light went on, and I'm not trying to have my car explode on the road and die with this woman. And I need to brainstorm some topics to talk about with her because I am determined to be best friends with her by the end of this, because I will undoubtedly have more courses with her throughout my time. Sorry, I know that's a lot, and I doubt anyone took the time to read all of this. If you're giving advice or commentary, don't try to convince me to back out of this. I don't have a good enough reason not to do this, and I am not the kind of person to go back on my word. TLDR, I volunteered to drive my professor to the airport not knowing that she actually meant the ATL airport, which is roughly 2.5 hours away from me, and I need her to like me. But she's also a 50-year-old Italian widow, so I don't know what to talk about, plus I have to get my car detailed, because it reeks of weed. Any advice on driving to Atlanta would be appreciated and how to navigate the driving around the airport. I'm from the DFW area, so I'm very used to driving to the DFW airport, but I've heard the ATL airport is a whole other beast.
All right, this story is a masterclass in overcommitting with good intentions. Volunteering to drive your professor sounded noble until you realized it's a 2.5-hour haul to ATL, complete with Atlanta traffic. Cleaning the weed smell out of your car? Smart. Preparing conversation topics? Even smarter, just keep it light and casual. But juggling this trip in your final exam? That's where it gets dicey. If you can take the test early, do it, because racing the clock after this drive is a recipe for disaster.
Today I F up, I didn't get home in time for parents' dogs. Roomba made my life hell. So last Friday my parents went on a cruise for the Thanksgiving holiday. I live about 20 minutes away from them, and they asked if I could watch their dogs while they weren't home. I said sure, no problem. For context, my parents' two dogs get ultra depression when my parents are away. I've watched them a dozen times, and every time they go on basically a hunger strike and will go from eating twice a day to only once every couple days. As such, they also only ever go pee when I let out. I have ways to coax them into eating, but it's sporadic and I have to be careful to not leave them alone for too long because their bathroom tendencies get out of whack too. So for the last week or so I've been staying mostly at my parents' and just hanging out, enjoying their house and watching the dogs. But last night one of my buddies asked me to play some video games and catch up after not talking for a while. So I feed the dogs at about 5, they eat this time, and I then let them out several times over the next few hours and then leave at about 8 to head to my apartment. I normally gate then in their sleeping area, the dining room, for the night, but I decided I'd leave the living room open for the night so they could lay in there if they wanted. This was where I F up. Sometime in the middle of the night one of them crapped on the carpet in there. Then my parents' Roomba decided it was cleaning time and proceeded to grind and smear dog poop into the entire living room floor and nice $300 throw rug my parents have in there. To make matters even worse, the dogs then proceeded to roam the first floor of the house all night tracking poop everywhere. I kid you not, if someone had given me a bag of poop and said, "Hey, I need you to cover this entire living room in poop," I couldn't have done as good a job as that little robot. So now the last 7 hours of my Saturday has been me disassembling the entire house, cleaning every inch of flooring, steam cleaning all the couches, washing every blanket, etc. I can't be mad at the dogs because ultimately it's my fault. I should have tried to get back to the house sooner, and definitely shouldn't have left the gate to the house open. But God, I was thinking of what barbecue dog would taste like all day, as I scrubbed the house down, TLDR. Left the gate open for the dogs. They pooped in the middle of the night, and the Roomba then spread their poop all over the entire house.
This is what happens when technology and dog ownership collide in the worst way possible. You left the gate open, and your parents' dogs decided to drop a little midnight surprise. But then, plot twist, the Roomba entered the chat and turned that single poop incident into an apocalyptic art installation. Like seriously, this little robot turned into the Picasso of poop, and your parents' living room became its canvas. Props for owning up to the mess and putting in the elbow grease to clean it all, but wow, what a nightmare.
Today I F up by not turning off my Bluetooth. This past weekend, I was dropping my car off to get serviced by my dealership. Like most people, when I drive I connect my phone to my car, usually skewing more towards podcasts over music. After dropping the car off, I was sitting in the waiting room reading a book. I wasn't watching or listening to anything on my phone, which helped cause the foo. When my car was finished, I was asked to walk around front so the receptionist could drive my car out to me. She seemed really nice and bubbly when I went to go talk to her, which makes me feel worse. A couple of things to note. The dealership was a bit out of the way, and there weren't many people there that day. Also, the weather was a bit dreary, so the overall vibe was kind of like a creepy spot in the middle of nowhere. When she brought my car around, she seemed a bit off. She didn't make eye contact and gave sort of a hurried, "Have nice day," as she jogged back inside. I'm not always the most observant person, so if I noticed, then chances are something did change with her. That's when I heard what was playing in the car. I guess when she turned it on, it automatically connected to my phone again. I had been listening to the Stuff You Should Know podcast, specifically their episode on the Cleveland torso murders. Basically, It was a true crime episode about some truly gruesome murders that were never solved. The part that was playing was describing how the victims were dismembered. This poor receptionist now has to work in this creepy middle-of-nowhere spot after having to listen to vivid descriptions of dismemberment. TLDR. I forgot to turn off my Bluetooth and a receptionist had to hear a gory true crime podcast.
Well, this is an awkward F-up of the highest degree. Imagine you're just doing your job, having a nice, chill day, and then bam, you're suddenly transported into the world of gruesome true crime. All thanks to someone's forgotten Bluetooth connection that has no filter. The worst part? You can't take it back. That poor receptionist just got an earful of details, and all you wanted was to get your car back.
Today I F up by stalking someone on LinkedIn. Technically not today, but yeah. So, I've had LinkedIn for years since my company asked us to engage with their socials. Never really used it, so I didn't know that LinkedIn was actually important. I thought it was like a Facebook for companies to share happy people videos, the ones where people smile and say we're a family. I know, I'm dumb. So a few months ago, I entered a program to get certified, and one of the things they did was network us with people from HR of a few companies. The school asked them to give us a few presentations about the skills they were looking for and some motivational speeches as a way of hyping us up, and they ended up giving us their contact info. So these HR people gave us their LinkedIn profiles. I didn't want to lose them, so I looked them up and saved the links. Fast forward a month or so later, in part of our course, they asked us to make or update our LinkedIns to make them more attractive to possible employers, so I accessed my LinkedIn easily hundreds of times in that period. To access LinkedIn, I always just wrote "linked" in the Google search bar, and it redirected me. However, since I had saved the LinkedIn profiles of the HR people, when I did so, I accessed Mary from HR as profile first. I didn't think much of it since I just hit the home button and went to my own profile. It just seemed easier than having to type it all. Well, I didn't know that when you view someone's profile, they get notified. I am so screwed. They probably think I was stalking them or something. I'm mortified. I erased the links when I realized, but the damage was done. I just hope I never get rejected from a job because of this. I'm sorry, Mary, it wasn't on purpose. I'm just dumb. Sad face. TLDR, I saved the link for the LinkedIn profile of HR people and was accessing LinkedIn on their profiles instead of mine by accident, thus coming off as a stalker.
Oh man, this is a classic case of I didn't know I was doing something wrong until it was too late. You were just trying to stay organized, saving those LinkedIn profiles for future networking, but didn't realize that every time you accessed them, you were sending out a little "hey, I'm stalking you" notification. I get it, though, LinkedIn can be super confusing, especially if you're just getting into it. But now Mary from HR probably thinks you're the office detective. And that's it for today's wild ride through some seriously awkward situations. Whether it's a Roomba disaster, a Bluetooth fail, or a LinkedIn mishap, we've all been there. If you enjoyed these stories, make sure to like, subscribe, and share for more hilarious moments. And as always, no matter how cringy things get, stay fine.